it says walk the talk. But yes, on the other side at home, besides my wife, I have two daughters, two maids, and my daughter's daughter. So I'm surrounded by the female at home, and that compensates the remaining part in the office. Now, importance of gender equality in the development of an economy is very well understood by everyone. Lower participation of the female workforce drags the economic growth of a society, of an organization. So I'll put it that way, the importance of women empowerment for the economic growth of a society, economic growth of a country. Unfortunately in India, the female labor force employment is less than 33% against the global average of 50%. That means out of about 380 million women workforce that's available, hardly one-third of that is employable or trying to employ. And if you see in manufacturing sector, which I come from, out of 125 million which are employed in manufacturing sector, it's only 1.25 million female workforce. So that shows, the inequality in our country, and that needs to be set right.
So I'm going to turn the question a bit, because otherwise we're all saying the same thing on hereabouts, and it's fascinating. I also report to my wife at home, so you're in good company. But just staying here, Arijit, the fact is you work in an organization that has a woman at its helm as well, and if you really look at it, and we were talking about this earlier, if you look at financial services as an industry, I think we're in a fortunate position. We're extremely proud to have some of the strongest women leaders, if you really go industry by industry. So if you really look at women empowerment, would you say this is, as a concept, is something that is 20 years too late, that we're talking about it now? Is it something that is already in motion and we just need to continue doing what we're doing? Or do you think there's still a lot to be done? Very quickly, introduction and answer to that, please.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Arijit Basu. I am Managing Director of SBI Life Insurance, and he referred to our chairman, Mrs. Arundhati Bhattacharya, who is the chairman of the entire State Bank of India group, for which we are really, really proud. But having said that, I think we have really a very, very long way to go. While we do have women at the helm, in Axis Bank, in ICICI Bank, in many of the other public sector banks, but I think even today it is more of an exception than there is. The good thing is there is nothing which stops a woman from doing well. But I think the overall ecosystem in the country has to improve. There is no country, if it wants to progress, not only economically, socially, culturally, progress without equality for women, progress without equal opportunities for women is not something which will come about at any stage. And it has to be at every level. It is not just an economic thing, it is both social and cultural. And we have to have that transformation in society. Having said that, I think in organizations like ours, in the financial sector where we are privileged and where we can think of new things to do, we must, I think in the State Bank Group, in our own company, we have introduced measures which help women, like giving 2-year sabbaticals. But I also personally think one other thing that will help is we have to think of the girl child. The empowerment has to start at the lowest level. So at SBI Life, that whatever CSR that we do, we orient it towards empowering the girl child, the underprivileged children who do not get a chance. Very small contribution. But I think if entire society thinks in that manner, that the girl child is as important as the other, the boy child, I think that will bring about the transformation and change.
Thank you. So Rob, you normally have an interesting contrarian view, so we'll wait for that.
So thank you for inviting me here, PBWA. The P and the B certainly apply to me. The W and A maybe will apply to me in few years. My name is Saurabh Mukherjee. I'm CEO of Institutional Equities in Ambit Capital. The view I have on the subject is as follows. I think women empowerment, Sukanto, as you alluded to, is already happened. So those of you who read Mint, this morning's Mint, you would have seen a set of charts. And if you look at those charts, and I would strongly recommend those who haven't seen today's Mint, have a look at the charts on literacy in our country. There's two very striking things about that chart. The first chart shows, for the first time in Indian history, there are more girls in school under the age of 6 than boys. For the first time in Indian history, there are more girls in school under the age of 6 than boys. An absolutely stunning stat, right? Second chart shows that if you look at the last 20 years in India, female literacy has gone from something like 35% to close to 60%. Right? It's almost doubled in a 20-year period. Male literacy in that period has barely crawled along. Right? And I think this is where both women's empowerment is happening, but it is also going to create serious problems at one level. I think the problem that we are seeing, and I think we'll see more of in the years ahead, is there will be a conservative male backlash. And because women are getting educated at an increasingly rapid rate, they will invade bastions that were formerly male bastions, conservative male bastions. And just as in the last 20-25 years, we've seen the rise of a certain section of Indian society because of the whole reservation movement. We're now going to see a second big upsurge in our country over the next 20 years as women assert themselves on the back of astonishingly superior literacy metrics compared to men. Now, where I am a part of this is in my own office, what I see is this thing playing out. Some of our most senior managers are women, and I can see them putting their foot down, and I can see men who have been raised in very, very conservative, very traditional circumstances, flinching. So I think the best we can do amongst us is where we are raising boy children. I don't think we have to worry about the girl children. They'll look after themselves. Where we are raising boys, we need to teach them to listen to women. Because if they don't, the future is going to be really grim for them in this country.
As I said, trust for a contrarian view. Sachin.
Yeah, so my name is Sachin. Hello everyone. I work for the RPG group. First of all, I think it's really great that you put this on the table. Keeping it short, my view is kind of simple. I think it all starts from our homes. It all starts very early. If you have two children, one boy and a girl child comes with a request for going to an adventure camp or buying a mobile phone or buying even a fancy thing, how do we respond to that request as against the request that we respond from a boy child? I think it just starts from that very day when you start differentiating in the way you respond to these requests. And for me, it's those early moments where a girl sees her request being responded in a very different way. She kind of builds a certain kind of thinking, and similarly the boy who's at the house starts kind of thinking in a different way. So it really is in our hands. It's really back to our houses in the way we deal with our own children and the children around us. And if each one of us can make a little bit of a contribution to that, it will add up to a lot.
Thanks, Sachin. So Samar, as we turn it over to you, I'm going to again repeat the question and ask you to stay there, please, because we'll move on to what the building blocks are. But in terms of, if you look at the question, do you think women empowerment as a concept is something that is done and dusted? It is happening today even as we speak. And therefore, should we be debating it? Or should we be going there and eating the wonderful Mughlai paratha and the chops which are available?
I think it's an issue which needs to be put on the table because, and not just in our country, it's there in pretty much all parts of the world. Issues like these, as they are put on the table, will get different perspectives, will get different voices, will get discussed, debated, and hopefully debate discussion will create progress. So it's not an issue which is settled. Yes, we have made progress, but any one of us, and just the panel here, shows that we have a long way to go.
Thank you. Samar?
Good evening, I'm Samar from DHL. I think I say that it's still a long way because we're talking about a population of 1.2 billion with more than 600 million still women.
And what we talk here right now, very handful of people we're talking about. I think that progress has to be continuous from all people like us. I think one of the key things that I find is allowing them to make decisions, not defining their gender, their roles and responsibilities. And I think that itself will be a big change and empower them a lot to move forward. And I think the other abilities, as Prakash mentioned, can you have your daughter, your mother or your wife freely moving out, and be an ecosystem created so that they feel empowered to be stabilized. I think that's still a long way to go.
Great. So I'm going to turn over to this side of the panel and starting with Ravi. The fact is, we're not differentiating and starting there, right? Going sequentially. So the fact is, if you really look at what are the building blocks, you know, if it is gender equality has been mentioned a number of times, right? We talked about, you know, how you should behave with your children at home. But let's go deeper, a little deeper. So what are the building blocks of women empowerment in your mind? Sorry.
I'm Kumar Padmanathan from PPG Asian Paints, joint venture of PPG, an American company, and Asian Paints, as all of you know.
Okay. Is it okay?
So, I mean, I think the building blocks are, you know, two which I can think of immediately. One is at home. You know, I think one gentleman earlier talked about, you know, treating, you know, both the male child and the female child equally at home. That's, I think, a very important building block. The second thing is also in the offices. I mean, we all come from companies, so it's important for us in the companies to create an atmosphere, to create an ambience where, you know, the females feel comfortable, and once they feel comfortable, they can actually contribute more, and then they feel empowered, they can discuss whatever, you know, they would like to. I mean, these are, I think, key building blocks which we can control ourselves. One is at home, and the other one is in our offices.
Sorry, yep. Hello. So the Devi Ma should not be blocked, right? And you know what we realized is in our enthusiasm we blocked her vision, right? So obviously there was a little bit of movement to be said no. We've got to make sure that she sees us and sees what we're doing. So sorry if I missed a bit of that. So
Well, just I mean, just to repeat, I was just saying the building blocks. I mean, there are two which I can think of. One is at home, where we feel where we have to treat, you know, both the male and the female child with importance, or whatever, you know, we do, it should be equal. There should be absolutely no inequality there. That is number one at home. It's totally in our control. The second thing is in our offices. All of us are CEOs of, you know, companies, and it's important for us to feel, to make the ambience, the atmosphere in the offices in such a way that the female employees feel comfortable. You know, in that way they can actually contribute more, you know, they feel empowered, they can discuss, and they can be very open in their own opinions and discussions. Those I would say are building blocks in my opinion.
right. Thank you, Kumar.
Hi, I am Sangeeta. I represent the Mahindra Real Estate and Infrastructure business. Actually, it's quite interesting. 3 out of 16 in this panel. We are doing well. We are sub 20%. It's much better than what is the representation in management and boards and various other places. But I'll take a slightly detached view. Building blocks, they start before the child is also born. I think we have to allow the child to be born first, irrespective of the child's gender. So it is not just about office or home. It is starting much before the raw material is created. Coming from a slightly engineering and manufacturing background, I may be sounding very blaze, but it is pre-raw material conception. It is the nurturing of the womb where the empowerment starts. And I would humbly say here, the next building block, which is actually a catalyst, is men enablement. It is about enabling the men and the women together to collaborate to make the building blocks. And I think as an opening statement, we can continue further on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very important part is to make organizations, whether they be in corporate, government, anywhere else, recognize that women and diversity improves team performance. There's a lot of research that shows that having a diverse team and that applies to any kind of diversity, but especially for women, improves performance. So if organization can realize that and put that into practice, then I think it will become a self-sustaining entity. And somehow we need to make that ecosystem.
Hi. I just wanted to take a view which is more to just bring this issue right up on the table. You have been asking that question in the building blocks. I think one of the ways to think about this issue is that instead of using the word empowering women, maybe we can use the word unleashing the potential. Sometimes the way you put up an issue tends to get attention. I don't think anybody can quarrel with
education, and there were some figures on literacy that Saurabh talked about. The second is skilling, because every educated woman is actually not having the, let's say, the employability quotient. If they are educated, they may still not be employable. So how do you skill them? And the third most important is that are they able to achieve financial freedom? Now they are interrelated, and I think if I were to put three matrices, if I were to say that, look, education, let's not stop just at literacy. Let's look at how many of the women are primary educated, how many of the women are secondary educated, how many of the women are, say they've done their graduation, how many of them are employable, and how many of them are indeed financially achieved freedom. If we are able to bring these matrices, if we are able to track them, then we don't have to talk about one or two or three outliers which we are talking about, which are certainly role models given that they have achieved, but I think that will really move the table up, and that will really help in unleashing the potential and therefore bring the agenda right on top, which I think is the need of the day.
Thank you, Kavinder. So, unleashing the potential, last three panelists, can you tell us in your career, which obviously dates back several years, what is the one occasion where you helped unleash the potential of women and you're very proud of it?
Thank you and good evening to all. My name is Arun Tukral. I am representing Access Securities. So I think before I start answering your question, I was thinking that all these years we were listening that women can do everything what a man can do. But I think the time has come, the man has to start that man can do anything what a woman can do. So it has to be reversed now. Because what we see around now, if I look at business leader or political leaders or leader in every sphere, women are actually doing very well. Personally, I feel the women are actually very strong. Only thing is they don't show it. And sometimes in the face of adversities, if there is a slight adversity, you immediately see the strength of a woman. So unfortunately, this strength should come on its own. It's not only the face of adversity, but it should be shown more often. But yes, if everything is done, or is there a scope further, I think there is a lot of work to be done. What Saurabh said, yes, there is a statistics that numbers in the primary school are increasing, or we look at UPSC exam, we look at CBSE, we look at every day we read in the newspaper there are more women at the top. So there is a silent revolution happening. But yes, is there something we can do? In my organization, I have done this by empowering some of the junior level women to give a slightly senior assignment, which generally, let's say, an AGM or a DGM will handle. So I have given a junior girl an assignment and she has done well. And I have been really proud of that. And I am trying to do more and more. So this is one thing at CEO level we can do in our organization. And at the global level, at the national level, what we can do is that whenever there is a need, wherever we can contribute for the upliftment of a girl child, if there are more and more girls are going to school because there are more toilets. So these are the elementary things. If we can contribute to that cause, or we can support an NGO, or we can fund that, I think that is why the entire revolution will come. That's what I think.
Thank you, Arun.
Ravi. Hi. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Ravi. I represent India Factoring Financial Solutions, very young organization still. One of the things I think which most of the panelists did not touch upon is, I think all of us know that in urban areas, I think the inequality bit is sort of done away with, I would think. largely, at least culturally for sure. I think all of us have females at home, be it in the form of daughters, sisters or whatever. I feel they are mostly, all of them are very well empowered. I think they follow the career that they want to, they're financially independent and so on and so forth. I think the bigger issue is really in tier 2 cities and probably in the smaller towns, where I think we still have cultural issues where, there is a huge amount of inequality between male and the females, That's something I think we should try and propagate more and more, I think across through various forms, the way that you are doing. I think there's a wonderful work which you're doing. I think that's something which we need to try and do across the country, I would believe, and that's when we'll start seeing, talent emerging from the rural areas, which you see only in the male side at this point in time, in the form of females as well coming in from, smaller towns and then making it big for the country as well. Wonderful. In terms of, I think, unleashing the potential, I think I have had a couple of instances where I've had a line manager, I think, who at some point in time was short on confidence, and I know that's a sort of a different statement to make, but I think the kind of confidence that we could give her as a team, I think she went places really in terms of growing in the organization. And now obviously as, head of businesses, head of organizations, we try and do our best in terms of empowering female employees or female colleagues to sort of give them the right kind of opportunities, well beyond even their domestic responsibility that they continue to hold still, giving them flexible hours, or trying to allow them to work from home. I think these are the things that we are trying to do to ensure that they're still able to continue their contribution to the organization and to themselves.
Thank you. Last panelist.
Thank you. I'm Vishakha. I'm the MD and CEO of India First Life Insurance. India First is a joint venture of Bank of Baroda and Andhra Bank. I meet Arijit very often in most forums. If you talk to me about what is it that we do in organizations, I think every single time that we can ensure a woman is treated equitably. I do not believe in equal treatment. I genuinely believe that each individual is different. You can't treat two men equally. Forget about treating a man and woman equally. So I think it is about treating people equitably. Every time we can do something to treat people equitably, and every time we can break conditioning. And I'm going to pick one example which happened on this panel right now. And when we started, Sangeeta started with saying we've got a lot of people, so I'm going to keep my comments very brief. And she was minimalist with her words. And there is a general perception that women talk too much. So every time we can correct this perception, every time we can bring in focus that we need to remove conditioning, and every time we can treat a person as an individual, I think that's the time we do our bit for empowerment of women.
Thank you, Vishakha. So I'm going to go back to Sangeeta, right, on that, because obviously she has spoken the least. Let's get your views about the last question as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think I just want to add a couple of points around the building blocks that you asked before. I think it's very critical. So we are obviously all sitting in a very urban context. So there is a whole rural context, and that requires a different set of enablers. But for a moment, to stay relevant to this audience, even if I had to talk in the urban context, I would say, I would look at it as a business model. If our task was to get more number of women in the workforce, what is it that we need to do? To me, first and foremost, from a societal perspective, it starts with the mindset, right? And we all say we are empowering our daughters at home, we are doing, but I think somewhere it's not happening. The change is happening, but I think the pace of change needs to accelerate. To me, it's all about stereotypes. We all have a stereotype in terms of what a boy can do and what a girl can do. And I think as members of the society, I think irrespective of looking at organizations and what someone else can do, if we peep within ourselves and say that if we are going to break these prototypes in terms of how we condition our daughters and our sons at home, to me that mindset shift is the most important thing to even get women to start thinking about getting into the workforce. So things like literacy, etc. are helping, but I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. The worst thing that pains me is after going through all this effort, when you bring people into the organization, the biggest drop happens. You will have a lot of women at the entry level, but when you look at your pyramid, how many women really make it to the top? The number is just so dismal. And I feel really sorry that that particular woman has worked so hard to come here, and after that something goes wrong.
I think it's very important for organizations to say, as more women start considering the need to get into a workforce, which is great for the economy, great for the organization, great to dip into a talent pool, but what really goes wrong? And 2 or 3 things that I would pick here. Organizations are doing a lot by way of policies to enable more women to stay there. But I think there's a larger part, and in Kellogg's, for example, we have a Women of Kellogg network, which really brings up these issues. It provides a platform for women to network, recognizing that their needs are different. They have a forum to bring up their issues, but the larger part of it is how do you enroll men around the women, and the whole program around gender sensitization, I think, is important. And somewhere at that stage, it goes back to the stereotype, because I think during maternity, a woman thinks she has a choice to not work. Why doesn't a man ever think that, right? No matter what the situation. A man is made to believe that he has to work, but at such occasions, a woman believes that she has an option of not working. So I think 2 things: the mindset, how we bring up our children, and I think what the organizations need to do to retain women in terms of enabling policies, but also gender sensitization for men, to my mind, are some critical things.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I'm going to request somebody from MSS to come up, please, because, they are the beneficiaries, they are the real women. MSS, is, as we were telling you, started in 2007. It started on the principle of trying to dip into society and dip into people who would come in from the villages into the city, people who are economically challenged, people who are socio-economically challenged, people who are under difficult situations. And what MSS tried to do was to reach out to them, to embrace them, to not only educate them and provide them with basic life skills, but also provide them with skills that would actually build out sustainable futures. So I'm going to ask her to speak to us and tell us a bit about her story, in terms of how MSS maybe changed her life, how people like all of us could possibly change her life, and then, we'll wrap up.
गुड इवनिंग, मैं MSS में 1.5 साल पहले आई हूँ. मेरा नाम मीनाक्षी है. नहीं काम करती थी पहले. बाहर निकलना तो दूर है. बाहर अगर दरवाजे के बाहर भी कोई आ जाए तो भी हम बात नहीं कर पाते थे. वो भी घर में कोई बड़ा है तो उनको बताना है. लेकिन जब से आ रही हूँ तो जैसे अभी 4 लोगों के सामने बात करना, खड़े रहना, स्टॉल पे खड़े रहना, एग्जीबिशन में जाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है. और कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ गया है कहीं जाने आने का. डर नहीं लगता है. और जैसे MSS से कुछ मिलता है तो पहले हस्बैंड पे डिपेंड रहना पड़ता था कि हाँ मुझे कुछ खरीदना है, मुझे पैसा चाहिए, या फिर कुछ भी अगर चाहिए तो उनको मांगना है. और अभी खुद का पैसा है, मिल जाता है तो खुद कुछ भी खरीद सकते हैं. पूछना नहीं है, ना बताना है, अपना अपना कुछ ले सकते हैं. बस और नहीं बोल पाऊँगी मैं. थैंक यू.
So before we wrap up, as I shared, there is a lovely painting here, and this is a painting that has been done by a young girl. Can I request the young girl to come up, please? Right? She's decided to, come forward and say she's going to put this up forward for charity. So it's her. This painting we're going to put up for charity, and whatever monies are raised will actually go to MSS and the women of MSS. So she did this last night, through yesterday. She's very proud of it. What I'm going to request is, I'm going to put a bid on it, because obviously I don't want to see it go, but I would request you all to participate as well. It's the spirit that counts, right? So to start off, let's ask, in fact, let's turn the tables. Let's turn to the chairman of PBWA. Why don't you put a price on it? 10,000 rupees, right?
25.
Sorry?
25.
25,000 rupees. Panelists, can you turn it around, Rinsi, and show it to everybody? 50,000 rupees. Thank you. 75,000 rupees. Do we have any other figures? 75,000 rupees. Do we have 1 lakh? Sorry? Do we have 1 lakh?
Sorry? 1 lakh. Fabulous Shushabun from J&J. Going once. Do we have any other figures? Turn it around. Going twice. Gone to Shushabun Dasgupta of J&J. 100,000 rupees for MSS. Can I request you, Shushabun, to come up and just take a picture with the young girl, who, as you know, so we'll just take a picture. And can we get the young girl from MSS here as well, please? Somebody from MSS? Of course. Swarnali, please join us. So my better half is somewhere around as well. Can you know, but the fact is this is a MSS initiative. This is the Young Ladies Initiative. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Everybody, what we're going to request you to do is basically sign the board here. And there are little mementos for everybody from MSS. After you finish signing the board, would you please head back to the CEO lounge, and then you know, we'll talk to you there. So starting with Summer. We're going to have a photo session here, so could I request everybody to start maybe standing up on the stage? To, you know, come forward and say she's going to put this up forward for charity. You know, so it's her, this painting we're going to put up for charity, and whatever monies are raised will actually go to MSS and the women of MSS. So she did this last night, well, through yesterday. She's very proud of it. What I'm going to request is, I'm going to put a bid on it, because obviously I don't want to see it go, but I would request you all to participate as well. It's the spirit that counts, right? So to start off, let's ask, in fact, let's turn the tables. Let's turn to the chairman of PBWA. Why don't you put a price on it? 10,000 rupees, right?
25.
Sorry?
25.
25,000 rupees. Panelists, can you turn it around, Rinsi, and show it to everybody? 50,000 rupees. Thank you. 75,000 rupees. Do we have any other figures? 75,000 rupees. Do we have 1 lakh? Sorry? Do we have 1 lakh? Sorry? 1 lakh. Fabulous Shushabun from J&J. Going once. Do we have any other figures? Turn it around. Going twice. Gone to Shushabun Dasgupta of J&J. 100,000 rupees for MSS. Can I request you, Shushabun, to come up and just take a picture with the young girl? who, as you know, so we'll just take a picture. And can we get the young girl from MSS here as well, please? Somebody from MSS? Of course. Swarnali, please join us. So, my better half is somewhere around as well. But the fact is, this is a MSS initiative. This is the Young Ladies Initiative. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Everybody, what we're going to request you to do is basically sign the board here. And there are little mementos for everybody from MSS. After you finish signing the board, would you please head back to the CEO lounge, and then, we'll talk to you there. So, starting with Summer. We're going to have a photo session here, so could I request everybody to start maybe standing up on the stage?
And I welcome all the dignitaries once again. It's been wonderful you all are here. Thank you very much for being with us, supporting this MSS cause. And the entire crowd out here, all of you are supporting this MSS cause. I need a big round of applause for all our dignitaries. We are here to support our modest journey to empower women, and that is a big momentous occasion for us. And that's what I thought I must thank each one of you, all of you. We'll have a small photo session now. Please stop. Sure. Thank you. My name is Thank you for coming.
Looks right.
Ask all the spouses to come in, please.
Wait.
You can't say paneer with a group of Bengalis, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah, all of you look in front. Yeah, very good. Look here.
Thank you very much, everyone.